Hey guys, and welcome to my brand new YouTube channel. If you don't follow me on Instagram already, my handle is Chelsreymua, and I'm super excited to finally be on YouTube. So after a lot of people kind of like asking me to start YouTube and me just kind of having the idea but not really knowing exactly when to start, I finally just decided to get the ball rolling and just jump into it. I'm really excited. And if you guys want to see how I got this look right here, this is my go-to summer glam look, then just keep on watching. So first off, to get that really dewy, glowy summer skin, I'm going to start with the Becca Backlight Priming Filter. This gives your skin a really nice glow from within look underneath the foundation. You can mix it in with your foundation a little bit as well if you want to, but I'm going to actually mix in the Becca Liquid Prosecco Pop highlighter. So I'm going to start off with a little bit of the primer. Sometimes if I'm feeling extra bougie, I use a brush, but for this, we're just going to go in with our hands because the hands are our best tools, right? All right, so now I'm going to do one pump of the liquid highlighter on my little dish here. And then I'm going to do, my favorite foundation this summer has been the Dior Undercover foundation. And I know this is their newer one. It's 24 hour, it's full coverage, but it looks like skin. So I'm just mixing the two on my little dish. So what I'm doing is I'm basically shearing out the foundation a little bit by mixing in the liquid highlighter and also making it a little bit more radiant and glowy. And I'm just gonna go in with my Morphe Beauty Sponge, which is essentially the same thing as the Beauty Blender, just a little bit cheaper. And until I kind of like the coverage, I'm just gonna build that up. Still very like skin-like. I love that dewy, greasy finish. I know greasy sounds like it would be a gross description, but I always like to look greasy because I'm very dry skinned. So now that we have a good base all over, I'm still gonna get back to my little acne friend. But first I'm gonna conceal my eyes. My favorite concealer right now, this is actually not new, but it's just repackaged. It's the Tarte Creaseless Concealer. It's like a little bit of a thicker consistency, so it can be a little bit funky at first, but I still set it a little bit with powder. It just gives a lot more of like a natural hydrated look under the eyes, which I really like. My under eyes can be really dry, and I feel like finding a concealer that I like has been so hard. So this one just looks so natural. And so what I do is I just use like a brightener, and right now I've just been using the MAC Prep and Prime. It's just like a highlighter pen, and it's in a lighter shade than the concealer. And so what I do is I just put a little bit of that on the inner part of my eye and then up on the nose a little bit. And what that's gonna do is it's just gonna kind of like slim the nose, and then when I add a little bit of like a nose contour, it just kind of helps melt into that. You can kind of layer it on top of any kind of concealer. It's not going to mess with the formula. It looks so pretty. It just kind of brightens whatever concealer you end up putting on. And that can make it easier too, because if you have like a darker concealer and let's say you get lighter or something, or if you need to brighten it, you can always change the color a little bit with a brightener pen. I've been really liking the Charlotte Tilbury, it's a long name, I have to read it, Airbrush Flawless Finish Skin Perfecting Micro Powder. And mine is in the shade 1, Fair. I probably could get the darker one, but this one's doing just fine. And I like this because it's such a thin, lightweight powder that it's really nice under the eyes. It doesn't look heavy, cakey. And I always like to press powders. And now for the different parts of the face, I'm gonna use the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Palette. There's 3 different shades in here. So there's Dim Light, Incandescent Light, and Radiant Light. And I like to mix these two because I feel like this one's a little bit too pink for me, especially when I have a tan. And basically what I'm doing is I'm kind of using this to like pre-highlight where I'm gonna put like a powder highlight. This is such a finely milled powder that it just adds like a really, really subtle radiance to the skin. For people that don't like a really intense highlight, I would recommend one of these powders. You don't have to obviously get the palette, just get the one that you like. It's so subtle. It'd be really pretty for brides. For me, I like a very intense highlight, so this isn't enough for me, but I really like how this looks on the areas that I don't want to add like an intense highlight. So like my chin and my forehead, I don't like to put too much there because I don't want to look too shiny where it could look like oil. And then I'm gonna bronze the skin. I'm gonna go into my Tarte Park Avenue Princess Chisel palette. What's so cool about this is it has two highlighting shades, one that's a little bit more pink, one that's yellow. And then there's a contour color called Princess Cut, and there's like 3 different bronzers. So I really like this. I love traveling with this because you have like your contour, your highlighting powders, and if you were to get tan on vacation or something, you have different colors like all in one palette. So it's just really easy. So I'm starting with that contour color called Princess Cut, and I'm just using this like right underneath my cheekbone just to add like a really soft definition, just to kind of carve out that cheekbone a little bit. Like you can even see how much more like lifted that side looks, and it's just so subtle. And I stop here. So I'm not gonna like contour underneath my cheekbone because basically that's just gonna like accentuate round cheeks. I wanna kind of give that lifted effect. And then I'm gonna use that same exact contour, and I'm just gonna go right on the sides of the nose and bring it up into the inner crease. It's gonna look a little crazy at first, but I'm gonna blend it out and soften it a little bit. And I really like contouring up here because I feel like my eyes look like almost really far apart and there's not a lot of depth if I don't do that part. And then I'm just gonna go over with my same exact beauty sponge, just with whatever is left over. And basically I'm just kind of melting it into the foundation. It softens it a little bit too, so that way you don't have to worry about it looking like too harsh. Then I'm gonna go in with, I think I'm gonna end up probably mixing this bronzer and this one. The Tarte powders not only smell like chocolate, but they're just so soft. Like I love how like subtle and natural that looks. You can totally build that up if you want a little bit more. But I feel like mixing those 2 shades is like my perfect combo right now. And I'm just gonna use that smaller brush that I used for my contour, just so I can kind of get a little bit around my forehead. This way I get like more of a precise application. And then I'm just gonna go in with that Charlotte powder. And I just like to dust a little bit of it, just like around the edges. And if I went in a little bit too much with the bronzer, you can just kind of put a teeny bit of powder on top of it, and it just like mutes it a little bit. And same exact thing, I'm just gonna lightly press a teeny bit of that powder just right on top. And then I'm gonna keep this look really simple. What I would do on just like an everyday summer day is I wouldn't go crazy with eyeshadow. Like I would probably just do one color all over. And the palette that I've really been liking is the Huda Beauty Coral Obsessions palette. And I feel like I've used this in like 4 or 5 of my like Instagram pictures because you can get so many looks out of this. But what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna use that middle color. It's just like a really nice like transition shade. And then I'm just gonna go in with like those 2 coral shades. So I'm gonna start with that middle color, and I'm just gonna use this one as my first transition. I'm taking the MAC 224, which is just a really fluffy blending brush. And what I love about this color is you don't have to be precise with it. Like I'm just being really messy. Obviously don't go all the way up to your brow. You wanna leave a little bit of space. But I kinda like to go higher on this side and then kind of bring it like lower and then out. And that shape just kind of like lifts my eye a lot, especially if you have like hooded lids. Like I think I have a little bit of a hooded lid, and that way like if I were to go up too high here, it would just like weigh down my eye even more because you wouldn't see that separation between my brow. So I'm just being really messy, just using back and forth like windshield wiper motions and kind of switching between little circles just to get that color soft and diffused. All right, and I'm gonna go in with a slightly smaller blending brush. And I'm gonna start with this coral shade, which is slightly lighter than the other one in the palette. And I'm using a MAC 217, which is just my go-to blending brush. So I'm placing this coral shade slightly below the first shade that we just put on. Still focusing on the crease, but a little bit lower, and then once I've kind of placed it, then I'm just gonna kind of lightly buff it up into that first shade that we did, but still keeping it lower. That way most of the pigment, it's kind of giving you a little bit of that ombre effect. And now I'm taking that same exact color and I'm just gonna stamp that all over the lid. This has literally been my go-to look all summer. I feel like I've worn this look probably 2 or 3 times a week for the past like 2 months. I wear a lot of like neutral colors, so I love having like a pop of color on the eye. And with blue eyes or like light eyes, that coral pinky color just really makes the eyes pop. Another reason why I love this look is because it's so easy. Aside from it being really fast and like just really flattering, I feel like it's just such an easy look because it's not precise. Like you can just be really messy with the color. And that's kind of the look, is just like a really soft, just kind of like wash of color all over the eye. And I'm gonna go back in with that same exact MAC 224 and that first color, just like a teeny bit of it on my brush, just to kind of blend the two together up here. I've been really liking this palette because you only need to like lightly tap it, and there's so much pigment. I feel like I don't have to like work to try to get it to look good. Like it just blends itself out. And now I'm gonna go in, I'm actually gonna mix these top 2 colors right here, and just to kind of deepen the outer crease. And I feel like just adding that like hint of that like reddish coral just kind of makes it a little bit brighter too. And I'm just using a little swirly motion just to really focus that color on like the outer third and keeping it really low in the crease. So there is a little bit of fallout with this palette. I don't really mind that. I typically do my eyes first, but just for the sake of this video, I did my foundation first. So what I'm just gonna do is just wipe away that fallout. I'm just gonna take a fluffy brush and just like lightly like flick it away. And I'm just gonna go in with a small like pencil brush. Again, another MAC brush. This is the 219. And that same exact, like that lighter coral shade. And I'm just gonna lightly dust it underneath the eye. So I like to bring it all the way in. You don't really have to, but especially for this look, I just feel like it needs to kind of connect to the front. And then I'll take a little bit of the, like that mix again that I did on the outside corner, and just connect it right there. And then stop about like, I want to say a third, the same exact way, just so that it matches the top. I love this brush. It just does like all the work for you, like literally done. And then a little mascara. My favorite since this launched has been the Milk Kush mascara. The only thing I would say about this is that I wish the wand like tapered in a little bit more. Like it still does. It's fatter on the outside, but then it gets a little bit skinnier, but I still end up bumping my like eyes so much, so I just have to be really careful. I just love how this makes my lashes look. It's like so quick, and that like zigzagging motion that I'm doing, it's just separating my lashes so that they don't clump. It's just allowing like the brush to grab onto every lash. Alright, and then finishing it off, I don't like to put mascara on my lower lashes for this look. Sometimes I do if I want a little bit more drama, but for my like everyday summer makeup routine, I don't mess with that. And then to finish it all off, I'm gonna go in with my absolute favorite highlighter right now, especially for when I'm tan. It's the Becca Champagne Pop Shimmering Skin Perfector. And I like starting off with a fan brush. I just feel like it gives like a really pretty diffused effect to the highlight. And I like to just highlight kind of the front part of like, so not like right above the arch of my brow, but a little bit forward. That way it's kind of still bringing like light to the front of my face, but I don't want it to go like too much here. I just kind of like start there, and then whatever's left over on my brush, I just kind of add like a teeny bit there. That way it kind of connects so you don't have to see 2 stripes. And then I like to use my finger to highlight my nose, so I just kind of lightly draw a line down the center of my nose. And then a little bit right at the tip of my nose. And then Cupid's bow. Okay, so typically for this look, on an everyday, out the door, like I still want to look like I took a lot of time doing my makeup, I probably would just throw on like a gloss. But let's say it's like nighttime and I want to amp this up a little bit. I would go in with like an orangey red, especially with this eye color. Like I love monochromatic looks, and that way it's like the eyes are still, they're not like super bright and they're not like the center of the look, but they'll tie the lip really, really nicely together. So I actually just got this in the mail from Bite Beauty. It's the, I'm gonna say this wrong, Persimmon Amouse Bouche lipstick. It's like probably gonna be my new favorite lip color. And I didn't have like a perfect lip liner for this. The only one I could find that probably would work a little bit is MAC Lasting Sensation. It's a little bit orange, but I don't think it's gonna make a huge difference. So even though that liner was a little bit light, it still worked. And then just finish it all off with Fix Plus. All right guys, so this is my favorite look this summer. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm really excited to be on this platform. I've been doing Instagram for a couple years now, and now I'm just really excited to try out something else. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please like this video, comment below if you have any questions or ideas for future videos, and make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And also, if you see any pictures or looks that you like and you want a tutorial for, please let me know. You can either DM me or comment on this video. So thank you again so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.